Hey there! Do you ever get lost in the internet and wonder how a computer genius went from hacking to making news for all the right reasons? Hold on tight because today's story takes you on a wild ride through the dark web. Welcome to Kevin Poulsen's story. Kevin Poulsen, a former black hat hacker, once took over all the telephone lines for Los Angeles radio station KIIS-FM and has been featured on NBC's Unsolved Mysteries. He served 5 years in the penitentiary and after his release became the first U.S. citizen to be banned from using the internet and computer for 3 years after his release. But let's track back to his beginnings and see how he got to where he is today. Picture this, it's the 1980s, computers are big white boxes and Kevin Poulsen, a kid from California, is playing around with his first one. Remember those carefree days of exploring? They turned out to be just a warm-up for something much, much bigger. Kevin became more and more interested in computers as he played in the digital playground of the 1980s. He became fascinated with the endless possibilities after learning the basics and looking into how the new technology worked. He had no idea that his innocent interest would lead him on a trip that would change the rules of the digital world. People around Kevin were just starting to understand how powerful computers can be. But Kevin was already in the thick of the digital change. In his early years, he didn't just push buttons and watch what happened. He also learned the secrets of the digital world, which would soon become both his playground and the stage for his life-changing adventures. As the computer fans hummed and the keys clicked, Kevin's journey in the 1980s was categorized by an unwavering desire to learn. It wasn't enough to just know about how to use the tools you had to understand what technology was all about in a time when it was changing so quickly. Now, as the digital world grew, so did Kevin's goals. He didn't want to just get around in the internet world, he wanted to get to know it better. Kevin changed his name to Dark Dante in 1983 and began a digital trip that would both define and haunt his legacy. His interest in computers started out as a simple wonder, but it turned into a fascination with all the wild possibilities of hacking. Kevin's early experiments with the new world of computer networks showed signs of the skills that would later bring him fame, albeit under a mysterious alias. 7 years later, on June 1st, 1990, Kevin hijacked the telephone lines of a popular U.S. radio station. KIIS-FM was running a competition for callers to win a new Porsche 944 S2. All they had to do to win was be caller number 102. However, not everyone who tried to call made it through to the station. This 25-year-old hacker named Kevin Poulsen had tapped into all 25 phone lines and blocked every receiving call but his own. He would go on to win the Porsche under the name Michael P. Beaters. This would be Kevin's most infamous hack. However, he actually won 2 Porsches, several vacations, and $20,000 from various stations. However, every hacker has that day that the tables turn. In 1990, the popular NBC show Unsolved Mysteries devoted an entire episode to Kevin, who was very hard to find and asked supporters for help in finding him. The show had an open line for tips, which made the search for Kevin, who was wanted for several cyber-related crimes, even more intense. A year later, a big step forward was made when a careful manager at Hughes Market in Los Angeles recognized Kevin from FBI photos. Without thinking, the manager called the police right away, which led to a coordinated attempt to catch the elusive cybercriminal. The FBI quietly set up shop at the market next door, planning to be there when Kevin got there. As soon as he showed up, he was quickly arrested. After being caught, Kevin was hit with 19 charges against him, which made the judicial system very difficult to understand. These charges include everything from conspiracy to money laundering, and the maximum sentence was a mind-boggling 100 years in jail. This possible term would be on top of the 37 years he was facing in the San Jose case, along with fines that added up to almost $5 million. It's hard to believe that Kevin spent 5 years in jail before being released on probation. The judge in the case purposely kept Kevin in jail longer than necessary, which gave the FBI plenty of time to build a solid case against him. It was clear what they wanted to do: give Kevin the harshest term possible and set an example for cyber criminals everywhere. In the end, the legal result was not as bad as what was first thought. Kevin was charged with crimes that were not very serious, like wire theft and laundering money, but the rules he had to follow were very strict. For example, he couldn't use computers for 3 years. The legal drama and probation that followed was turning points in Kevin's life, and they showed how cybersecurity laws were changing in the 1990s. While Kevin was locked up, he had a deeper inner reflection. The poorly lit cell turned into a place of change as he thought about how his digital adventures had affected him and the new field of cybersecurity. The once brave digital explorer now had to deal with the weight of responsibility and the task of making things right while facing legal consequences. It was an important moment that would change Kevin's life and set the stage for a shocking change and how he interacted with the digital world. After 5 years, Kevin was released. Now, a hacker who used to be famous and is now out of prison chose to use his skills for good. Kevin made a decision that could change not only his life, but also the lives of many other people. He went from being a criminal to a reporter, using his ability to solve riddles for good. The prison walls didn't stifle Kevin's spirit. Rather, they made him into a person who needed to change. When Kevin got out of prison, he had to decide whether to keep going down the wrong path or use his skills for a better cause. His choice was a surprise to everyone. He picked the second one. The famous Dark Dante changed careers and became an investigative reporter. He was like a digital Sherlock Holmes, using his special skills to solve cyber riddles and find security holes that could affect everyone. Kevin didn't go away. In the world of hacking, he became a rock star. His work is more than just news. It's a wake-up call for an internet that is still working out how to get around in the digital Wild West. Kevin's change from criminal to reporter wasn't just a personal one. It also sent shockwaves through the hacking world. His work did more than just make news, it woke up a digital world that was having a hard time with new threats. Kevin's discoveries and insights laid the foundation for the new era of cybersecurity, which was categorized by increased knowledge and group action. Now picture Kevin, who was used to being alone in dimly lit rooms, now being a key player in busy newsrooms, figuring out the newest threats and holes. It's not just a change in careers, it's a renaissance, or a new start with a new purpose. He found his true calling. Kevin's rise from the depths of hacking to the top of journalism was nothing short of a transformation. The dimly lit room where he worked alone as a hacker turned into the busy newsrooms, where he used his skills to figure out how cyber risks were changing all the time. It wasn't just about finding security holes, it was also about giving people and groups the tools they needed to stay safe online. During this golden age of journalism, Kevin became a shining example of how to connect the mysterious world of hackers with the rest of the world. Kevin talks about his journey in an honest conversation. He admits the mistakes he made as a young man, but he stresses how second chances can change things. It's not just a story about salvation, it's also a testament to how strong the human spirit is. When Kevin thinks about his journey, he doesn't avoid the sadder parts. He admits that the thrill-seeking days of his youth led him down a dangerous road where he made mistakes. But after thinking about it, there's no regrets. There's only a deep knowledge of how second chances can change things. Kevin's forgiveness isn't the only thing at stake. It's also about the strength of the human spirit and how it can learn, grow, and use its experiences for good. But here's the catch. Kevin's story doesn't end with a mic drop. It goes on. His name is no longer just in history books. He is now a well-known figure who inspires the next generation of online warriors. His journey isn't just about getting better, it's about making a change that will last forever. Kevin's influence goes beyond individual stories, as the pages of his story keeps turning. He encourages the next generation of digital defenders by being a mentor, teacher, and speaking out. He teaches them the ideals of ethical hacking, responsible online behavior, and a dedication to making the internet a safer place for everyone. As we say goodbye to Kevin Poulsen's amazing journey, remember this. Even in the darkest parts of the internet, there is room for redemption and change. Kevin's story isn't just about hacking, it's also about getting past your problems and coming out better on the other side. Until next time, stay safe and interested.